how do we get data from the user-triggered HTTP request within Laravel? So for example, if we go to our home endpoint, from our last lesson, we have name and Sam here. But what if we wanted to say like name is Sarah? And then instead of Sam, we wanted to show Sarah using our query parameters where the key is the given value, or the key has a value. We're going to go to our project files. We're going to go to our routes and then web.php file. And then we're simply going to say, okay, route get, and then we're going to use this global helper function Laravel gives us access to. Request input name, just like that. Now if we reload our page, we get Sarah. More than that, we can use a shorthand. Instead of saying request input, well, we can just say request. We're going to get the request name. We're going to reload that, and it still works. Of course, if we wanted to change this to Jimmy, or, any other thing, we can get the request value using this request helper. Pretty cool. If we change this endpoint, this URI, to return the view of home again, like we did in our last lesson, and then we go to home, how do we actually access the name variable within our view template? Well, first, let's make sure our view template is properly loading. So we're going to go back here. We're going to reload this page. And we're getting Sam. We're not getting the name of Jimmy. And we want Jimmy right here instead of Sam. So how do we do that? Well, we could technically go and just use PHP, just like this. Then we could do request and then name. And reload, but it doesn't work. What's going on? Okay, so we are actually in our Blade templates. Our Blade templates. Blade is the template engine that Laravel uses. So what we want to do is we want to use Laravel Blade syntax. And we'll dive deeper into Laravel Blade later in the series. Right now, we just want to figure out how to pass variables into our Blade template. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to use these mustache braces, the mustache syntax. And we're just going to say mustache name. Completely remove that PHP. And then we need to actually pass in name to our view template. Because if we go back and we reload the page right now, it's actually going to error out. Undefined variable name. So how do we properly pass in the name variable? Well, we do that in the route/web file in this callback function. So what we're going to do is we're going to say name equals request name, just like that. And then we're going to pass in an associative array where the name is going to equal the name. And if we wanted to, we could actually go request name like this. And so now our Blade template knows based on the key that it has access to a variable called name, and the value of that variable is going to be the request name, which we pass in as a query parameter in our URL. Then we use it or output it using the mustache braces within our home.blade template. Reloading our page, we now get Jimmy again. And if we change the query parameter name key's value to Sarah, we get Sarah or Tim. And so it's dynamic. Now, a really cool trick I like, and that honestly most Laravel developers I've worked with use, is this helpful PHP, vanilla PHP function called compact. Now, what compact does is you can define a variable, and you can say name equals request name, and then you can compact that name. What does this do? Well, compact name is the same thing as name equals name. It will find the name variable and automatically add it as one of the key value pairs in an associative array. So if we had another value and we did like email and then we did example@gmail.com, we could go back down here and we could do email as well. But since we don't have an email, we're just going to keep it as compact right now. Then we can completely remove the array from the second parameter and just pass in compact name. So name is the request name, and we're going to return our home view with the compacted data where the only key value pair is going to be name. We're going to compact the name variable and pass it to our home view template, our home Blade template. So now if we reload our page, this will all still work. Of course, if we went over here and we did Sammy, all still good. But let's take this a step further. What if we wanted to add a second query parameter? We'll actually add name. We'll say and email equals, and then we'll do sammy@gmail.com. Next, we'll go back to our home Blade template, and we'll do small and then email, just like that. And let's get that parentheses inside of small. Of course, if we don't actually pass in the email variable from our route into our Blade template, it will error out like this. Undefined variable email. So how do we correct this? Well, we go back to our web.php file and we say email equals request email. And then we simply add in the email. Reload that page, and Sammy@gmail.com. But there's also another cool trick. If you want to use DD, this is another global Laravel helper. It's called die and dump. We can die and dump the request input, just like that. And this will actually dump out the parameters we pass in, and then it will kill the application so we never actually get to the section where we load the view. And that helps us debug a bit. So when we die and dump the request input, it's already the associative array we're trying to pass through. So how about this? Instead of saying name and email, well, let's just pass through the actual request input. And it will be the same thing, just a little cleaner. We'll reload that, and we get the same thing. It properly works again. But this time, if we want to add another one, and we said like ID equals 243, and then we went, because we're passing in all of our request input, and it's already an associative array, we can just say user space ID. We don't have to worry about continually passing it. It's just a little cleaner. And So that is the simplistics of passing in data from your request using query parameters into your Blade templates. Simpler.